everyone, how's it going? I'm Jules Leyhe. In today's video, I'm going to share some of my favorite licks and techniques to get your fretted playing sound a little bit more like a slide player. So there are some just kind of cool ways of playing with your fingers that to me are great emulations of what a slide does. And this is, as slide guitar these days is kind of a hot thing in the guitar world. A lot of people are starting to play slide. A lot of people are checking it out. There are a lot of new techniques, a lot of great players right now. So I've noticed that fretted players are actually kind of borrowing from the slide players. And these are just a couple of things that you can do to your fretted playing that'll help kind of get you into the slide guitar world. And maybe if you already play some slide, these might just be, without actually putting your slide on. These are just a couple of little techniques to sort of get you sounding like you're playing a little bit of slide. So before I go into the actual video, I want to recommend that everybody out there who's checking this out checks out my brand new Derek Trucks Masterclass course. This course is just jam-packed with tons of stuff that's going to make you a much better slide guitar player. There's over 2 hours of in-depth study of all of Derek's licks, his tricks, everything he does, and every purchase of that course helps fuel this YouTube channel. So if you haven't yet, please be sure to go over and check out my Derek Trucks Masterclass. Thank you so much, you guys. Now, into the meat and potatoes of today's video. So first of all, I'm playing my Strat here, and it's tuned to E flat. So I'm going to play this in the key of F sharp. It looks like I'm playing in the key of G. I'm going to be at the 3rd fret. And I'm going to focus mostly on pentatonic vocabulary. This is very blues bass and just sort of very, this is kind of getting some of that vocal, like Aretha Franklin type of, soul singer vibe into your fretted playing. So first of all, let me just play this is my F sharp pentatonic scale. This is these are the notes that we're going to be using. So I'm going to be using those notes, and now one of the things that I'm going to do is it's kind of tricky to do some of this stuff in position, but there are sort of 2 methods to this, I'd say, which are getting it in position and then also sliding across the strings. And so one of the most important things, and this is cool because, yes, maybe the vessel for teaching this little part of the lesson is generally kind of emulating slide players, but with your fretted, fretted playing. But really, it's about just putting a little bit of extra, extra sauce, some mojo on your notes. And most specifically, what I mean is let's talk about your 3rd, for example. So maybe if I'm playing something like this. This really comes to life and gives a little extra layer of sort of just quirkiness and character if we manipulate that 3rd, the flat 3rd, so that instead of just being, the note right on, let me demonstrate a little bit of, how much character we can get out of this note just by bending it a little bit. Check this out. So you see how I'm really, really wrangling that note. And one of the things that I just love, one of my favorite players who does this very specifically is Oz Noy. He has this when his intonation makes the hairs on my arms stand up. They're really, his note choice and just the way that he plays these notes, like this 3rd, is just so cool. So let me just get a little bit further into it. Now I'm breaking this down on a pretty molecular level, right? We're not even talking about a big lick or anything. We're just talking about how to handle one note. This can be applied across every single note. When you're playing slide, we don't suddenly have just 12 frets and 12 notes. We have all these in between the nooks and cranny notes, right? So if you're wondering what the connection is, that's the connection. We're getting into these notes that aren't just there, they're in between these frets. We have way more than 12 notes and we want to access them. So here's a little bit more fun with the 3rd, and you might want to try this out. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bend from below the minor 3rd so that I can get the 2nd to the flat 3rd. that gives me space to actually play right below the flat third, right? So here's a little bit more of this focus study on the flat third. Check this out. Right? Okay, now that's the flat third. Let's do the same thing with the 4. And if you know your blues scale, which is this, this gives us so much bluesy language right in here. We do not, we're not talking about moving around or anything yet. Check out that same principle, but now applied to the 4th. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to just see how much milking I can, do of this one note, and just see how much, without thinking about a new scale we learned or anything, just how much I can get out of playing this one note with a little bit of string bending action. Here we go. So you can see we've limited this to basically manipulating 2 notes, the flat third and the 4th. And we're kind of in the weeds right now. We're studying this technique and this concept. When you're playing, you're not just going to focus on 2 notes necessarily. Obviously, there are guys like Albert King, B.B. King. They could get away with playing 1 or 2 notes, so you might want to do that. But in general, I'm just trying to give you an exercise so that you can go, wow, let's now just try something else. Given what we just tried and what Jules just did for us, maybe you can do this now up on the 7th, like the flat 7th. I actually really love this. So this is now manipulating the 7th, and I'm going to just try to see how many ways I can get, this might not always sound great. I'm going to really get in there, get my hands dirty, so to speak. But check this out. Now with the 7th, going up to the root, there's just so much more that you can say with this sort of idea. Check this out. Here we go. So now you can see I can do that on every single pitch, right? You can bend the root up to the flat third. We're about to stretch this out a little bit. But I would recommend you try that on every single scale degree. Just see how much action there is. See what sounds good. They don't all just sound great and are really cool. Some are kind of preferable to others. But this just sort of not playing your notes flat. And I don't mean flat like, flat or sharp. I just mean playing the notes straight like this. Honestly, it's hard for me to even just play the notes straight through. I'm almost always kind of doing this. This is where all of these techniques to me end up leading, is by going, you're just kind of subconsciously doing this a little bit. You're bending your third a little bit. You're bending your 4th. Let me just show you. That was flat without much, affecting the notes with vibrato or bending anything. Here's more how I naturally play the pentatonic scale using these techniques. right? So you can see, to me, blues guitar, it has this energy and this life to it. Sure, there's space to just kind of stay in one position and shred and do things like this. Or things like this. Right? That's awesome. I am not saying don't do that, but you don't want to just sit there and just, one of the things I like at the very least is hearing something like this. Right? It's just kind of flat. None of that was very clean. There's just sort of this we need a little bit more. That has this breaking out of jail type of, that's one of my favorite quotes of Stevie Ray Vaughan, is that he played like he was breaking out of jail, So this, to me, just sounds way more interesting. That's some in one position type of playing. Now let me show you, and now that is more sort of pitch related, okay? That does have to do with slide guitar. But this might more obviously be kind of where I'm getting at. I think the slide guitar connection will make more sense now that I show you this. So, same key and same thing, pentatonic scale. But now what I'm going to do, and I encourage you to do this in all keys, just getting to know your pentatonic scale all over the neck is so important. How many times have you seen some guy on YouTube tell you that your pentatonic scale all over the neck is super duper important? I lost count of how many times I've seen that a long time ago. So I'll just reiterate what everybody out there is saying. This is a huge, huge, huge way of just getting your sound together, getting comfortable, not just being in one position, not just having a handful of licks, but being comfortable traveling around the neck. So here's some playing across the string. Just the B string in this case. This is F sharp pentatonic. Check out some of these sounds that I get by bending into notes. Sliding around is just a really cool way of, it's already kind of sounding like you're moving and doing something. So that element of slide is already in what we're doing here. But check this out. Here is the F sharp pentatonic scale going across the strings, and I'm going to throw some sort of slide phrasing in there, okay? Check this out. So you could see right there, one of those licks, it was all right, but I kind of threw my slide up there. I really went for it, and I could have played it just a little bit cleaner, but life goes on. It's okay. That's one of the cool things I really like about this sound, is that you kind of dive in head first, and sometimes it really works. Sometimes it might fall a teeny bit short. I mean, I was fine with that, but just to show you how I workshop this sort of idea. So let me give you... let me go through this a little bit slowly. This is F sharp pentatonic. Again, remember I'm tuned down a half step, so this looks like G. But one thing to just get started with and acquainted with all the notes and traveling across the string is to just pick these notes one at a time and get comfortable sliding from one note to the next, just like this. Right? That last one was especially like, that sounds like some slide guitar vocabulary. But where's my slide? It is not to be found. It's actually right over there, but I'm just not wearing it right now, right? So let me run you through some of this. I love this. This is super duper cool. So one of the things is the speed with which you actually play these runs. If you go really slowly, we're going to start to hear the frets. We're going to start to hear the position shifting, so you kind of have to go for it. You have to go at a certain clip. So I'm going to go 5, flat 7, root, 3, and I want, thank you. So those are the notes that I'm playing, and I'm going to just try to see how little touching of the frets I can do to make this, by moving quickly, sort of at this fast pace. You're already going to have this really interesting sound. Let me show you this. So let me show you that lick again. This is basically just the 5, 7 root and then the flat third. And this is a great combo for that gospel bluesy sound. Check this out. Now that last lick, I want to show you guys that one. So what I'm doing a little bit here of is combining the major and minor. And I'm sure, hopefully you're comfortable with this concept, but this is not just major, it's not just minor. It's definitely Venn diagrams kind of overlapping. We've got both things going on, right? This is blues, and I'm just mixing both of them. So what I did was I slid up. I like trying to use one finger to slide up. You can go like this. Okay, but I kind of we're physically also copying what the slide would do. So this is definitely kind of like we're playing, we're pretending we have a slide on, and I'm using my ring finger. I just, you'll find that when you're doing this sort of thing, you need a really strong leading finger or else it's just going to crumble. So I like to use my ring finger, and I'm going to actually come up now. Here's another little thing. Once you run up maybe 2 or 3 notes, it's nice to end on a bent note. So I'm going to bend the root up to the second to the flat third, and then I'm going to release that bend. And that also just has this, like, when you're moving around and then you end up in a bent note, it just sounds like, wow, the frets aren't really, you could do with or without the frets. The expression, the line is what's coming out, rather than like being in a position or something like that. So let me show you what I mean. This is sliding 5, flat 7 root, and then I'm going to bend the root up and then end back down on the root. And then there's a nice little, I'll wrap this up by showing you this sort of ending lick that I really, really love. So check this out. Okay, so I did that a handful of times. I'm trying to just show you guys how you can workshop it yourself. Try it over and over. Try sliding faster, try sliding slower, try a little less of a bend, try a little more of a bend. I'm not afraid to kind of not do it perfectly every time right here. I want to show you guys how to workshop this sort of thing. Now, to borrow something from Derek Trucks, who is, obviously one of all of our favorite slide players, if not our favorite. He loves to not end his licks on the root. He's usually either ending on like the 9 or the 6. Okay, so in this case, that would be going like this. So what I'm doing here, and I really love to slide into the 2 or the 9. In this case, that's at my 10th fret. with a little half step bend. So this sort of first half of the lick might be like this. Now you can totally just play that right in position, kind of more like B.B. King, and doing something like this. But you hear how with that rush up, there's this extra sort of bit of energy in the lick, you know, when I slide into that note. So it sounds like this, what I'm talking about. So then ending, it's funny because it's you don't end the phrase on the root, but that's sort of, it's like two halves of a phrase. Basically the first half where you go. Then what I did was, this is sort of the slide guitar thing. After you're landing on your root and you're adding vibrato, sliding down to 6 and back up to 9, putting a little vibrato or bend on the 9, and then ending on the root again. It gives this whole other, you know, vocabulary-wise, those are all great notes. Those are like soul singer notes, right? This is totally like Aretha Franklin zone right here. So once more, check this out. And you can see I'm sliding down. The beautiful part of all of this is that that 6 could be right here. I could go. But it's really nice to go. Right? So you can see, this is a technique that I'd love for you guys to work on. Try doing this on every single string. It's simply the pentatonic scale. All of these, you know, when we're playing, every single string is a great string to do this sort of thing on. You have to bend those bottom strings a little further than the top ones, but it's just great to do this sort of thing on those as well. So I hope that this helps you guys get a little bit of the slide guitar sort of sound into your fretted playing. Again, there's, you know, there's more to this, but I've been getting asked quite a bit recently, you know, for a fretted player, how do you kind of start to get to wrap your head around the slide stuff? And no, we're not playing any slide licks right now, but this sort of, you know, way of thinking about vocabulary, getting around the neck, not playing in just one position. You know, I didn't just stay at the 3rd fret. I moved around, and then you can apply all these things to every single position. And ultimately, we just want to be open with this fretboard. We don't want to be limited by, you know, well, I've got a B string that I really feel good on, and I feel good in the key of A. That's, you know, it's fine to start there, but totally want to branch out and not just be limited by that. So I hope you really enjoyed this lesson. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm putting videos like this out all the time. We have interviews, performances. You're not going to want to miss what we've got coming up. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Jules Leyhe. I'm thrilled to announce that my Derek Trucks Slide Guitar Masterclass is now available. This class is over 2 hours of in-depth study of Derek Trucks' greatest licks, his signature sounds. Everything that you're going to learn in this course is designed to make you a better player and ultimately make you sound more like yourself. I'm a Berklee College of Music graduate and a professional musician of the last 15 years. I've shared the stage with Buddy Guy, Jimmy Vaughn, Chris Kane, and a slew of other blues greats. They've taken me under their wing and have taught me so many things that I want to now share with you guys. Check the link in my bio or JulesLeyhemusic.com to get your Derek Trucks Slide Guitar Masterclass today.